All right. Hello, hello. So here we are again to talk about the conclusion
Mm-hmm.
of The Unlikely Lady, written by Valerie Bowman. Now, when last we met, Lady Stephanie O, we were discussing the first 10 chapters of said book. Now,
Right.
and we had like different, vastly different experiences when it came to the beginning of this book. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to Danny Say So. She couldn't join us tonight. She actually DNF'd this book. DNF. We
Our
should,
first one.
yes, once we get like a couple of these, we're going to create a DNF playlist. And
That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
um, but yeah, so you and I decided, okay, let's push through
Mm-hmm.
and finish
Mm-hmm.
off the book so we can give you guys the full laydown in this final review of this book. Now,
Yes.
of course, just a quick review of the book. Lady Lowndes, she's a
Ma'am.
spinster. Uh-huh. That a lady?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she's a spinster, blue stocking, and she has a nemesis, a little rival in the name of Garrett, Mister. What was his name again?
Upton. Garrett
Mister
Upton.
Upton, Mister Upton, or Lord Upton,
True. True.
and pretty much they develop, or she decides to create this scandal so she does not have to get married, which is like something that is being highly pressed by her mother, particularly. Now, when last we left off in the book on chapter 10, um, they had already gathered at the mansion for the wedding, kind of like bachelorette week-long celebration before the wedding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and as I said in the last episode, it was kind of giving dry. I was like, let me just see about these next like 5, 10 chapters, child. Let me see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I ain't gonna hold you. The next couple chapters, like I would say, the next 10 chapters was kind of juicy. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
some stuff is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
We got the masquerade ball.
Right.
And you know what always happens at a masquerade ball. Some stuff always goes down.
Oh, no one ever knows anyone at a masquerade ball, even though everyone knows who's coming to the masquerade ball.
Right.
We don't never recognize each other, even though we know each other without a mask,
That's what
Whatever.
I don't understand. Because how many
Mhm.
people were coming to this thing here?
Exactly.
But long story short, our girl, Jane, she puts on this little tight, hot toddy blue
Mm-hmm.
number, right?
Mm-hmm.
With no glasses. The no glasses thing is very important to the story. Because she, in all of her, masked glory, looking fantastic, meets this mysterious man, and they decide to call him Mr. Lord Green because he was very,
Mm-hmm.
who, of course, he's Mr. Garrett. He's Mr. Upton, Lord Upton.
Right.
Now, she did not recognize him because she was not wearing her glasses, but
Right.
he did not recognize her because he was a bit intoxicated.
Exactly.
And
Right.
and it was due to that liquid courage, I feel, that made the night's event so scandalous because they started making out in the other room, not even knowing really who the other was, um,
Right.
up until the following day, right? And here's my thing about the book, right? When we get to the next scenes, and the girls, it was Lucy and one other girl. They already,
Cassandra. Mm-hmm.
Cassandra. They
Mm-hmm.
kind of already know what's up. They're suspecting that
Well, they
Jane.
saw them. Remember, they saw them in there,
Oh yes, one of them
even
did
though
see.
they.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we got to see, what's what. Did they know each other was the other and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say in this book, some of the side characters lack a little depth. They're almost interchangeable. Like all the girls seem very that much the same. All of the other guys seem very much the same. It's very much cardboard cutouts of
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
characters. So, and because there are so many characters, I feel like I was confused as to who was who. The only person I could recognize was Lucy, because her name was clearly different than the rest. Everyone's like Cassandra or Cassandra or some other name that sounds so similar. I'm like,
Hmm.
but of course, we also get a little bit more of Miss Elizabeth, right? The other lady, the other woman.
Her name was it is I thought it was Isabella or something like that.
Is
What
it
was her name?
Isabella?
Was that her name?
It's either Isabella or Elizabeth, one of the
Something
two.
like that. Something like that.
Maybe Isabella. Isabella sounds right. Um,
Something. But yes, the one after Garrett Upton. Hmm.
yes, she made her intentions known. She is after
Hmm.
Garrett, right?
Hmm.
And apparently, their whole connection derives from her being the widow of his a friend of his, a man who actually died for him, right? And it's because of this connection we find out later in the book, because we're talking full spoilers here,
Right.
um, that he has been financially assisting her and her kids since the death of her husband, his friend, because he feels such guilt about the husband sacrificing himself in order to save his life, right?
Right.
But Isabella, she has been, trying to scheme and get this man. Apparently, she's in it.
Yeah,
She's
she
trying to
working
get him
hard.
by any means necessary.
Anything, whatever it takes.
Right. And when the first signs started to show of her being like this, mustache twiddling villain was at I want to say at the picnic that they had when she was just kind of insinuating that, oh well, you to Jane, you read so much books because you can't get a man or something.
Right. Basically, right.
And
Your
I
books
was
can't
like,
teach you everything.
yes.
Hmm.
Because at first I was thinking, okay, let me give this lady a chance, right? Maybe Jane, because Jane, in my opinion, is very off-putting. I do not like Jane as a character, like as a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
very nice.
no, yeah, not very nice, not very sociable. Always seems like she's, I know more than everyone else here, and it's like,
Condescending.
yeah,
Hmm.
who got time to be dealing with that? And add on the fact that she's apparently this goddamn handwriting detective.
Right.
She
Right.
is.
Expert. Right.
It's just like I can see why Jane could rub somebody the wrong way. So I was kind of not wanting to believe all the dastardly deeds that were being, that Isabella was being suspected of at first.
Right.
But where there's smoke, there's fire. It was too much stuff going on. It was the
Hmm.
horseback competition, the ride.
Yeah.
It was the whole setup of the what her footman taking out. This is when it really got kind of saucy because the footman she decides to take out Garrett, knock him unconscious the night that him and Jane was going to get down with the get down. And
Hmm.
honestly, I feel like this was in Jane's best interest anyway, because had she
Mm.
given up the cat prior to the marriage proposal, I mean, yeah,
Hmm.
there would have been no marriage proposal.
Oh, what? Some people get married after a one night stand.
Not back in them days. And this is
Oh,
what I don't understand, right? How is it so? I don't know. I feel like it's so loosey goosey for a duke's wedding. It was for the duke's wedding, right? Lucy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there was really, I know there was that one pretend chaperone, right? But is that customary for all these young folks to be in this one house the week of a wedding? I don't know. I've never seen it in Bridgerton. I've never seen it in
I
any of
mean,
the.
a lot of the women, allegedly, a lot of the characters appeared to already be married. And Lucy wasn't getting married. If I'm not mistaken, it was Cassandra. Lucy is Garrett's cousin.
Okay.
Cassandra was the one getting married. And if I'm not mistaken, right, so her husband to be is there, Lucy's husband is there. But you're right. They didn't speak too much about many chaperones, although there were a few single people there, like Isabella. Daphne was single, so I don't know. I don't, You're right. If there were chaperones, they were really playing it, unless only certain families required their girls to have chaperones. But I would think everyone would have. So I'm
Yeah,
not
these are
sure about that.
single ladies in the house with these eligible bachelors. They think,
Hmm.
nothing's going to go down. It didn't seem very
Right.
period accurate to me, but
Right.
I'm no
Right.
expert.
Should have been more people keeping an eye on things. Right.
Yes. So he ends up, like I said, knocked out, locked in the cellar. And Jane, when she goes to meet him for their rendezvous, right, she discovers Isabel like in a passionate, embrace with some dark-haired gentleman who looks very
Right.
much like, Garrett, and that's who she
Right.
gets taken him for.
Right.
What did you think about that scene?
I thought that it. I still don't know how she knew they were supposed to meet that night. That's what I keep racking my brain about. Like, I wish
Yes,
they would have made it clear how she knew. Because how did she know? How? That doesn't make sense to me.
it doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah. Other than that, I was like, I mean, I guess it's possible that she could have thought like, oh, I took too long, so he got the next one in. But dang, even that was quick. Like, girl, you think when he had her on speed now, they didn't have cell
Right.
phones then? Like, I think she was looking for, she was not sure, and she was just looking for something to support her. Not, I'm not sure about this. Oh, I knew it. He ain't mean it. Type of thing.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So another thing about the book that I feel like the pacing was off because the
Mm,
third act was very rushed. It was like suddenly, I feel like a lot of things were like kind of clipped off, maybe things,
mm-hmm.
left on the cutting room floor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the ending of the surprise wedding came completely left field. I don't understand
Yeah.
how did that even
Yeah.
happen? There was nothing, us as the reader got any inkling of how this was put together. It was just
Right.
suddenly, yeah, we're at the chapel and it's
Right.
Jane under the veil.
And again, how does Isabella know that they are doing it? Like, that's the parts that was not clear. Like, how
It
to show
doesn't
up
make
there?
sense. It doesn't make sense.
That's the only like, okay, something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing about her, Isabella wanting to frame or at least blackmail Garrett by saying, "Oh, well, if you don't marry me, I'm going to tell the whole world that Jane's a hoe."
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
went nowhere. It was like the author brought it up and then forgot about it, and then wrote on some other stuff that she felt like Isabella would do as a villain. And
Mm-hmm.
oh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is why I
Yeah.
feel like this author is pretty new, at least at this time
Yeah.
whenever this book came out,
Yeah.
to writing. You know,
Right. Right. Right.
because a lot of
Definitely.
things don't connect. A lot of things are very superficial and um in that. But they did mention at the end of the book how this situation parallels Much to Do About Nothing, that book. It's something
I've never.
I've never read it either, but it's one of
Okay.
those, classics, right?
Oh. Okay.
And some of the plot points that are done in this book were
Mm-hmm.
inspired by the things that happened in that book.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, maybe this is was started off as a fan fiction, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. That's always possible.
But overall, out of 5 stars, right? How
Mm.
many stars would you give this book?
I would probably give it a 3.
A 3.
Yeah, a 3. It only gets a 3 because it was just interesting enough to keep me interested. But to your point, if you are an active reader, then you see how there are things that were not like congruent the whole way through.
Hmm.
So that kind of takes away from the story being like complete. But
Yeah.
it was interesting. And like I told you earlier, like I plan to read the rest of the series just to see what happens with all the other girls
Mhm.
because it's readable. It's just
Okay.
not top tier. What about you?
Okay. So for me, right, if 5 being the best, 1 being the absolute worst, um, let me list my reasons before I give my stars.
Oh,
1, I feel as if when I'm reading a really good period romance, right? You feel like there is this desperate need for the other person. Like that's why I love me some Bridgerton. Like in season two, it was
Yes.
giving like, yeah, you are the bane of my existence and the object of my desires, and that's something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this book, I did not feel that. At
Mm.
no time did I feel that. Even the spicy scenes, like the smut, I was just like kind of turned off because I wasn't feeling the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So and also I feel like a piece of it is because the writing style or the writing aside,
mm-hmm.
it was a lot of perspective from Garrett. So that
Okay.
mystery has gone. Like there's no mystery
Mm.
about this character, which kind of pulls away from the allure of the male lead. And I know that there are a lot of books that can do like the multiple POVs, but that is a very hard thing to do if you are an inexperienced writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you run the risk of removing every potentially interesting plot point and by giving too much information because you're doing
Mm-hmm.
all these different perspectives, everyone knows a little bit about something and there's no mystery for the reader. It's
Right.
just becomes kind of predictable. And though I do find comfort in a predictable read on occasion, like I do,
Mm-hmm.
a little predictability in my books. But not that I like it, I don't mind it.
Right.
But combined with the amateurish style of writing, the lack of mystery, the lack of chemistry, like, sex appeal. I was like, this is definitely, I'm being generous by giving it a two. I'm
Wow.
giving it a two.
Wow. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, it was just, I read it, but I will say it wasn't one of those things where I was like, oh God, let me just, I gotta read. It was
Right.
like some parts were interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Some parts,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Just enough to keep you going.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe with some time, I'm not sure if this is Arthur Valerie Bowman is still writing. If she is, I'm sure her writing has very much improved. I would be interested to see how she has elevated her skills. But this one is a no for me, dog.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. Like it wasn't the worst book I finished it, so it wasn't
Yeah.
terrible. But
Uh-huh.
I've also had, I've listened to better books for sure.
Uh-huh. But not only did you finish it, Stephanie O has decided to continue the series.
I love a good series. I hate a standalone book. I love
Oh,
more. Like I need more. I can't just end it right here. Like I need to. Yeah, that's my favorite kind of book to read. Honestly, some kind of
uh-huh.
series.
Okay, yeah, I'm same. I'm kind of like that as well.
Yeah,
But
one book.
not enough. Uh-huh. There's so
No,
much story to tell.
right.
Um, but yeah, that was the review of The Unlikely Lady. If you do decide to read it, let us know what you think about it. And we will be joining you guys next week sometime once we figure out the next book. If you have any
Right.
suggestions, let us know. Hit us up
Right.
on Instagram at unpopular.review. And we will take your suggestions in mind. But that is all, folks. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. Dun, 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 dun.